do not know why you're on your home cam. JP Morosi, good morning to you. There's about to be international baseball. Cubs and Dodgers from Japan. Matt Shaw making the trip. You heard the guys talk about it earlier. A lot of excitement about that. Are you going? Good morning.
Laura, good morning. I am not going, but I will be up early next week every day watching the broadcasts. So at 6 a.m. Eastern time, I'll be locked in. Harold's going to be there for us, so that's the important thing. And Matt Shaw will be there too. And notably, Lauren, this is not Matt Shaw's first trip to Tokyo. He was there in November helping Team USA win a bronze medal at the WBSC Premier 12. And at the time, you knew there was a path for him to be able to make the Cubs opening day roster. That's not yet officially official, but he is on his way now, perhaps arriving shortly to Tokyo. And I really do believe, Lauren, that experience playing for Team USA has helped him get here. And here's why. During that tournament, and Harold's going to be checking on this, I know, as our correspondent there in Tokyo, the infield coach for Team USA at that event, Dino Ebel, one of the best coaches that we've got in Major League Baseball. Of course, he's now with the Los Angeles Dodgers, has been with the Dodgers for many, many years. But I noticed this when I went over there to watch that tournament play out, is that Matt Shaw was working every single day on infield drills with Dino Ebel. And that's why you play international ball. You get a chance to work with an excellent Major League infield coach in Dino Ebel. So the work with Dino helped improve Matt's work over at third base, helped him hopefully make it to the big leagues. And so next week, when they're playing in the Tokyo series, he'll be facing Dino Ebel in the Los Angeles Dodgers. How about that circle closing, connecting it all for next week's series?
I love it. And the rosters, JP, and the list of guys going tells you something. Just because we're so close to April, Hae-Sung Kim not going. What does that tell you about his future, his start to the year?
Well, I think, Lauren, the idea with Kim is that by going down to the minor leagues, he'll get more at-bats and get more comfortable with Major League pitching, or at least close to Major League pitching, by staying back in Arizona, ending the year in the minor leagues. Remember this, Lauren, about the way the Dodgers roster is shaping up. If you've got Tommy Edman at second, Betts at short, Muncy, we saw in the A block, and the way that Max has come in great shape for spring training. And then your bench, in terms of infielders or super utility guys, Ike Hernandez, Miguel Rojas, Chris Taylor. There's just not a lot of at-bats there because the Dodgers have brought in and kept so many veteran utility and super utility players that it does not make sense for Hae-Sung Kim to come up to the major leagues right now and sit on the bench. If Edman's your second baseman, if Mookie's your shortstop, you've already got a center field figured out. They've brought in Conforto to help in the outfield. Where are your at-bats? And so I think the idea for Hae-Sung Kim, it's not really an indictment of his play so far. It's more just a function of how much depth they've got among their veterans. So for Kim, go down to the minor leagues, get some at-bats, and get ready for later on in the year. Similar case to Bobby Miller, who was also optioned out. At different times, Miller's been a postseason starting pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, but just not right now, given the way that Dustin May, as we documented in the first segment, the way that May has pitched. So this team, Lauren, has so much depth, and the opportunity for Kim and for Miller is coming, but later on in the year.
So much talent. They will certainly find their place. Red Sox file them under the category of having talent, and they brought in more of just that camp. There's an energy there, JP, that I don't think we've seen in years past, and there's excitement about Lucas Giolito until a couple pitches in. What did you know?
Right, so it's been described right now, Lauren, as a minor hamstring issue. They're expected to have more information on Lucas today. He's scheduled for an MRI. He was able to pitch through it, so that part was encouraging in describing it as a minor hamstring issue for Lucas Giolito. But this, Lauren, caught my attention simply because you've already got Brian Bayo on the IL to begin the year. You also have Crawford on the IL to begin the year. Sandoval, as you see there, it was brought in as a pitcher who we believe will come back at some point during the course of the season. So they really need Giolito to be healthy. Crochet, of course, the high-profile acquisition. Buehler was signed. Priester is someone that they have high hopes for, too. But this situation, if it escalates to something that's more serious, would not leave them with a tremendous amount of margin for error as you approach opening day. Also, very notably, Rafael Devers, not expected to get his first Grapefruit League action until this weekend. There's not a lot of time as you think about how much time there is between now and the domestic opening day, 2 weeks away from tomorrow. That's all we're at, is 2 weeks from tomorrow is opening day in North America, and we have yet to see Devers play in game circumstances. So it's getting late early, as they say, for Devers, for Gunnar Henderson. Maybe we'll get into his situation later on in the week in the case of the Baltimore Orioles. So this is now the time of spring where if you're not playing regular games, you start to be concerned. So Devers is going to have to really show some things starting this weekend in Red Sox camp.
It creates decisions for these managers as they close camp soon. And in the great state of Michigan, a position battle for A.J. Hinch. What's top of mind for him right now?
Well, a couple different things. Now, we'll say this. Spencer Torkelson, in a spring where he's got to show something, is doing exactly that. And with different situations right now, Meadows likely to begin the year on the IL, or at least possibly going to begin the year on the IL. Vierling, we know, is going to begin the year on the IL. So there is a spot on this lineup for Torkelson to be the DH. And he's proving so far that he can do that. Jace Young came up yesterday and had his first homer of the spring. So some good signs there for him at third base. Javier Baez has had a pretty productive spring. Even if Trey Sweeney ends up being the shortstop for the Tigers on opening day, Baez with, I think, better health right now. You see him playing shortstop. That's Torkelson at the plate with a good swing. So I think overall, Torkelson and Baez both had to have big springs. They're doing exactly that. Young, again, at third base. Some good signs for, by the way, and listen carefully, Lauren, as we're bringing it full circle to the A block, Devin Booker's favorite baseball team, the Detroit Tigers. So we talk about the Phoenix Suns.
Okay.
Devin Booker, one of the best guards in the NBA, representing the U.S. in the Olympics. He's an Olympic gold medalist twice over. Devin Booker.
And he's dating a Kardashian, isn't he?
Devin Booker can play, and he loves his Tigers, his Red Wings, and his Lions. I'm a fan of Devin Booker.
I'm told they broke up. I don't know. I don't pay attention. Maybe they're back together. JP Morosi.
In uniform, joining us from what looks like a safe room at Scottsdale Stadium. Good morning, left-hander. Good to see you, Jeremy.
Hey, man, when you're out of the game this long, when you do interviews, they put you in a hallway. You don't get to have a special area, you know.
Tell us about what you're doing in camp. And I know that with your former teammate and your friend Buster Posey there have been a lot of familiar faces wearing uniforms again.
Yeah, you know, that's what I think's been really awesome. I think with coming in, when I walked into the coach's office, you had Pablo Sandoval's locker, you had Joe Panik's here with me right now, Javi Lopez, Vogelsong, Studero, Bonds was in here. I mean, they're just bringing a lot of guys back, and I think that's what Buster's trying to do, is trying to recreate a little bit of some culture with, hey, history is very, very important to winning, but also just being around the guys, bringing guys in to help create that family atmosphere, and Buster's done a great job. The vibe is incredible. Since I've been here, and I just asking around, it's like, hey, what's it been from the years past? And even the players are just feeling it. They just feel it's a little different now that Buster kind of has taken over.
Well, the interesting thing too, Jeremy. Hey, good to see you, by the way, man. Been a long time, so great to see you, man. I want to ask you the teaching aspect and being able to add a little nugget here and there. So, what did you learn in your years with the Giants and your foundational time that you would pass on to somebody today?
Yeah, I've talked to several guys. One of the things I've tried to bring in is don't forget the bottom of the strike zone. Like, I know you always all like throw 102 miles an hour, but the bottom of the strike zone is really, really, really important. It keeps the ball in the ballpark, and dealing with controllables and uncontrollables. You know, one of the things in camp even since I've been here, and they said it's kind of around the league, is some of the pitchers get frustrated on, shifting, and then they can't shift as much as they used to. But now they still get frustrated on shifts, and so some guys get caught up in that. And I've just kind of been here just talking to guys about it's not a controllable on the shift. Like, focus on what your job is, and that's to throw quality strikes, keep the ball in the ballpark, and let your defense play. Other than that, don't worry about so much stuff. And they've got so much analytics and computers. I mean, the technology on these fields right now is almost overwhelming. And I'm just kind of talking to guys about learning how to pitch, knowing what you need to make in-game adjustments, and what kind of mental focus you need to have. I'm not going to be pitchability. I mean, I didn't half the time know where the ball was going, to be honest with you. So I just tried to stay at the bottom of the strike zone and try to get guys to hit ground balls. So that's what I kind of focus on with guys. Keep it simple.
I thought it was interesting, too. You talked about pitch to the ballpark a little bit. So, guys have to understand, what that's like to pitch in San Francisco. Is there a difference? We talk about it all the time, but you pitch there. Is it different to pitch in that park?
It's 100% different. And now because of how they've even kind of redid the scoreboard, it's actually shifted the wind a little bit even more. And they've shortened the ballpark since I was there. They brought it in a little bit, but it's still a tough ballpark to hit in. It's more manageable for some of these power guys. They can still kind of come in and they can poke it pretty good and get it out of the ballpark. But keeping the ball down and focusing, I love a sinker. I like a sinker in this age of the game of baseball. And if guys have it, utilize that sinker a lot more and just keep the ball on the ground. If the ball stays out of the air, the longer it stays out of the air, the better off you're going to be. And so that's kind of what I've been just talking to these bullpen guys about is, if you want to throw 100, but try to learn how to throw 100 at the knee. You're going to be a lot better off.
Well, that's
that's kind of what I've been talking about.
Interesting shift too, Jeremy, because I think in the days of launch angle and that kind of hitting philosophy, a lot of pitchers lost sight of the bottom of the strike zone. Everybody thought you had to come up here to counter launch angle, and now we're learning about the return of the sinker as being a good weapon again in our sport.
I think it's anytime you get a hitter to try to only see the top of a baseball, there's really not much you can do with that. You hit the top of a baseball, you're not going to hit it in the air. And so I just been kind of getting guys to just focus on, pound that zone. Verlander pitched yesterday, and he put on a clinic. That guy, he pounded that strike zone from the get-go, and Oakland came out swinging early on and do what he did.
That's really cool. Hey, we don't have that much time with you, so I want to hit you on something we teased earlier. Your passion project, which has turned into a great deal of your post-playing life, your brewery, Free Roam Brewer. We talk about it a lot. Are you guys direct to consumer? Look at this, man. The Hop Scud. I mean, it feels like it's grown since we started talking to you about this a couple years ago, many years ago, actually. It's really taking off.
It's been fun. It's been a project for mine. I don't distribute outside that brewery, really. I want people to come and do it. But it has been awesome. We have a great brewer. My wife is a brilliant businesswoman, so she's been helping me out with it. But it's been great. And the Hop Scud actually is just because Buster told me one day, he said, you won't name a beer after one of your pitches, which is what made him a Gold Glover, I claim, because he had to block all my balls when I threw scuds. And I basically told him to hold my beer, and I said, here. And then I created the Hop Scud. I said, we're going to do it.
That's great.
It's been great.
You talk about your wife being a business person. Apparently, she's a pretty good golfer, too. Do we have an image here of a near? Yeah. Oh, man, that almost happened.
It did. She was so excited. Well, our game got bumped up 2 hours yesterday, and so I lost my tee time at True North. And so I said, hey, I had to cancel the tee time. And she said, no, you have to cancel your tee time. And I was like, okay. So she went out, and then she almost hit a hole-in-one and sent me pictures. And I'm like, that's not doing me any favors, honey. I'm sweating my butt off out here on field 6. So, it's not helping me.
Do you miss pitching? Do you miss being out there, or does coming back into camp and putting a uniform on for a few weeks, does that satisfy that?
Right now, it satisfies. I actually said it to a few guys. I said, man, it just feels good to put a uniform on. I don't need to be out there on the mound. I don't need to be performing that way. Like, I just like being around the game and understanding and being able to talk to some of these young guys and just being able to put that uniform on that I was very thankful to represent for a very long time, and to come back in and try to help out where I can. That's enough. That's enough for me. I'm just glad I get to do it.
Hey, Jeremy, last thing. I'm starting to see this trend around baseball. I'm sure you're not just seeing the Giants camp. You're interacting with other clubs, but you're probably seeing former players from other teams. You're coming across them in a uniform and saying it's good to be back in it. I'm starting to see that happening in Major League Baseball now.
It's awesome, and because it has to happen. Like, I think that they were so worried about bringing some of us in because that whole analytical game was put into play, where they're thinking, well, these guys aren't going to really understand it. And it's not that we don't understand analytics. It's just we talk about it different. When they want to talk about spin rate and all this stuff, we just talk about finishing your pitch. You knew when you got good extension, finish your pitch, your ball jumped on hitters. Like, so that's how we said it. We just didn't have all the technology. So I think they were scared of that. But I think bringing some of these guys back in just to encourage these guys and to let them know the game is really, really hard. So what you guys are doing is really, really hard, but you guys are built for it. You can do it. You can get it done. And sometimes you just need a simple approach, sometimes being talked to the guys. And that's kind of what we do, is we just bring in that different approach that we had.
Good stuff.
We love a chance to chat with you, man. Thanks for being with us as you do every year. Good to see you back in that orange and black again, dude. Way to go. Have fun down there.
Heck yeah. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Jeremy Affeldt joining us on the stove. We're going to take a break. When we come back, 15 days till opening day. There's a lot of history behind that.
I love history.